Yep, that's what hey,
Mike Jackson.
how you doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
Oh, we
You
can
all
barely
right?
hear your voice. Can you hear Trovada? I could
Can you
barely
hear?
I could barely hear your voice.
You can
Yeah, I
barely
can
hear
hear you.
me?
Uh-oh. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Trovada.
Okay.
I can't hear Brother Mike. I can't hear his voice that loud.
My volume, so I can
All
hear
right.
you clearly though.
There you go. Now I hear you. Now I hear
Okay.
you. All right, cool. How's everything going with you, brother?
Everything's good. I'm a little late because I'm at my son's soccer practice, so I scooted over to the side. They almost done.
Hey,
Are you good,
no,
man?
no,
No,
no
you
apology
good?
for being a father, man. That's no
Yeah. Supposed
problem.
to do that.
Right.
Good. How you been, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. No complaints.
Hey,
Okay.
you have to come back to him anyway, so ain't no need to do
Yeah, nobody care anyway, so we know how it is. That's cool.
it. Good. Good, good. We was just, starting off randomly talking and everything, talking about 3D printers and stuff. So
Okay.
so but yeah, we were gonna get to it get into the actual podcast for today. So
Okay.
topic we were picking today was it's a twofold actually. It's like half and half. Brother Tovada came up with he came up with the idea for the topic of picking your actual style, like picking your style of capoeira. Am I right,
Okay.
Brother Tovada? Yeah, picking your style of capoeira. And then the other one, let's see, we did picking your style, and then modified movements. That's the other part. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. So as we always start off and everything, the podcast it's built for everybody to have a level of comfort and a place you can come and talk about capoeira. Sometimes it'll go capoeira, sometimes it may go into anime, sometimes it may go into comic stuff. But we're all in good good company. I don't think anybody can complain about it, basically. We may get on a soapbox, but other than that, that's about it.
Yes,
But
sir.
again, it's always growth. It's always growth. So yeah, so you know what? I think it would be good. Let's roll into, possibly like, talking about what's happening right now, like, capoeira life or anything like that. Any announcements or anything you guys want to share, feel free. Let's get that out there first.
Um, Tomorrow at Boombox Kickboxing, it's having a grand opening, and that's the space that we're currently training out of. They're having a grand opening all weekend, but I will be teaching a capoeira regional class. Let me get it right. 12:30 to 1:30 as part of the program offerings at Boombox Detroit, as well as Sunday from 4:30 to 5. Kind of like everybody that teaches there is giving like a sample class. I think, let me get it right. I think the one on Saturday is for people that are like already members of Boombox, and they'll just try out all the classes for like an hour. So it's going from like 10 to 6 or 10 to 7 or something. And so that's what I got going on most currently at the moment.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Always. Hey, you growing, man. Hey, everything is always
One
achievements.
step at a time.
That's right. That's right. And it's funny because the one step gonna turn into 10 in a second.
Yeah. Get ready to start jogging in a second.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, good, good, good. Good, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And everything's falling into flourishing and everything for you as well, too, especially, before that Michigan winter hit, man.
Man,
Oh, man.
I won't talk about that.
Yeah.
No.
It's already trying to be
Mm,
like, oh, 4 seasons in a day right now. I'm like, you know what?
mm-mm.
Nope, you can keep that.
All right.
You can keep it. Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
anything going, man? Anything new?
Let's see. Um, let's see. I started back to teaching at Jalen Rose Academy
Okay.
last week. So still we let's see, we actually have 3 classes now
Oh,
instead of
great.
2.
Great.
So it's Tuesday and Thursday morning, the 6:15 to 7:15. That's the capoeira. And then Friday now it's just music. So
Okay.
and that's from like 6:15 to 7:15. So I'm like, that's just strictly music. So we're either working on, batucada, or working on the bateria for the whole capoeira and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
going from there. So
That's good.
yeah, so that's the they liked the 2 classes before, and then the opportunities just came. They were like, hey, well, you think you want to teach another class there? And I'm like, yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, like, oh, we looking for something different. I'm like, music. I'm like, it would be music.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's plenty of like, Afro-Brazilian rhythms that I can actually play. And I was gonna teach those. So I'm like, all right, that'll be great. And we got some of the students that already are in band and things like that.
Okay.
So
Oh,
that'll
that's
help
gonna
them
go
too.
well.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, all right, that'll work. So yeah, that's about let's see that. I don't know. I have an actual a Heko that I had designed a while ago with a 3D printer. So I'm actually
Oh boy.
I'm gonna start printing those. And I'll be able to have the Hekos actually on the website too. So
Okay.
so yeah,
That's cool, man. I'm glad that program is growing.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm
it's
sure the
always
kids are anxious to get back.
yeah, the ones that were already from the last like semester, they were like, oh man. Some like 2 of them, they're like, yeah, they're like, I did train during the summer. The other was like, yeah, you know what? I didn't train at all. I was like, well, yeah, it shows.
Man, Louisiana.
Yeah,
Louisiana.
that's all I asked. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, hey.
You respect me, I respect you, but I
Yeah,
was
Louisiana.
yeah, and I told him exactly. I was like, at least you honest. I was like, but let's get to work.
Right. Now
So,
that you're honest, you gotta come, gotta
yeah,
come correct.
yep, exactly. So
Yeah, that's cool though, man. I'm proud of you and happy, and I'm sure that's gonna continue to grow, and it's much needed. We need some more stuff in our city and things to get these kids, man, this youth something positive, because
yeah.
it can be rough.
Yeah, proud of you too, man, because it's like the continuous growth with all of us, even brother Mike as well, the continuous growth, everything is always positive.
Brother
Yeah.
Mike, what you got going, man?
I don't have no announcements at the moment.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna just throw it out there. Hey, he's being infinite father right now. So hey,
Okay.
I give you
Yeah,
pride. I give you proud pride with that, man.
that's he the man. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. That's right. So there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. Um, man, it was something. Uh what was it? Is that um can't think of it now. It's gonna come to me possibly. Um yeah, that's um the I was able to actually we had the World African Martial Arts Conference.
Okay, yeah. Talk about that a little.
Yeah, I was only able to go like for not like the half of a day.
Okay.
But I was actually invited by brother Maywa.
Oh wow.
He was like, he was like, the conference is happening. I'm like, yeah, but I'll be working. I was like, I may be able to stop by. So
Uh-huh.
talked to my wife. She was like, yeah, you ought to go. I was like, yeah, my first teacher, my first master,
Yeah.
Peter. And then
Brother
he was like,
Maywa.
yeah. And then but at the same time, I'm like, I gotta take advantage of this because Like he told me, well, I'm like, you like a gypsy, man. You like going
That,
the wind. So,
that brother's a ninja.
yeah. I
You
was like,
see
man.
him, and then for 30 years you don't see him again.
I was
Then he
man,
popped
what
back up
happened?
looking exactly the same.
Right. I was like,
Oh,
man, I was like, he was regenerating in the fountain of youth.
right.
Just come back.
That's good though, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was I saw that a brother that was, now I don't know if he was there. His father, excuse my pronunciation, but his father was one of the co-founders of Kupagani and Guma. And his name is Khalil, but I just see his name on like Facebook, so I don't know his full name.
I believe
Khalil
I know you're
Masai,
talking
I
about.
believe, is what he goes by on Facebook, but I don't know, if that's his real name or just the name he used on Facebook. But based upon the inspiration he got from the conference, I'm assuming he was there.
Yeah,
But
he was. He was.
okay, he's doing one in New Jersey and Newark. I can't remember when it was, but I saw his flyer for it. He's doing one in Newark, and he said based upon the inspiration he got from coming to the one in the D, he was gonna do one in Newark sometime soon. But it's, you can check out his Facebook page, Khalil Masai. Um, he also does some directing of movies and stuff. I met him at the Urban Action Showcase 2018, but it was in passing. I spoke with him. We spoke for a minute, but he was going to do a panel, and I was going, like, we were just passing. I'm like, I don't know you, and so but yeah, that's something that he's doing. So if you're anyone out there is interested, check his page out, Khalil, Khalil Masai, Maasi on Facebook. And he it's like maybe like a week ago, he had a flyer up that he was going to do, but I'm not sure of the dates.
Yeah, I'll check it out too. If I can actually find it, I'll post it in the
Okay,
podcast.
I can send it to you because I know, I just go on this page, but
Okay.
I don't have it up right now.
I got a quick
But
interjection regarding that conference. So how about I found out about the conference by somebody out of town.
Nah.
And it was like maybe a day or two too late. And I'm like, man, how I didn't know? I'm right here. I didn't even know about it. So I'm ashamed to say that, but I definitely was glad because I seen a few pictures and a little bit of commentary far as those that did attend. So I was like, man, that's something that seemed like, it definitely would have benefited everybody that was in attendance and just, just to see it occur, that would have been a cool thing to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
This is like my second time going, just stopping by it. But everybody, even in between the actual workshops and things like that, it's like a great experience. And then and at the same time you get to, just realize and remember that you're not alone. Everybody has their own art and their own style, and then the ancestry that just comes from it. So and that's always something like I that's great. That it's just in my book, but yeah. So yeah, it was okay. I saw my first mestre, and then we sat, talked, and the funny thing about it is that I never left um I never left on bad terms with him. It was just, another opportunity came with another mestre that was here. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, well, this person's here. He left it to my decision. He was like, well, if you like to go train with him, that's cool with me. He can that's your choice if you whatever you want to do. So I'm like, okay, cool. I always respected that. He never tried to go to like throw the guilt trip on me or something like that. Be like, oh yeah, oh, you want to go somewhere else or something. Or you don't have heart for your teacher no more. All that ridiculous stuff. He never did that.
That's
And
a secure teacher.
Yeah, yeah. And I
That's
was
all.
like, yeah, and I was like, you know what? I respect it. So we're sitting there and it's just, we're talking and then we're going back and forth. We're just like talking in Portuguese with him. He was like, "Oh no," he's like, "Oh, you speak more Portuguese now." He was like, "You didn't at all last time." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's been over." I was like, "Man, it's been over like almost like 28, 29 years,
Yeah,
something
it's
like
been a
that."
while.
But just sitting there talking to him, and then I found out he has like a sick, twisted sense of humor like I do. I was like, "Oh man," I was like, "That's funny." But
Yeah.
it was but out of the blue, just sharing with him like everything and what it is. And he was like, you still training, you still teaching? I'm like, yes. I'm like, yeah, I am. And out of him, he was just like, he gave me a question. It wasn't it was like a question.
Mm-hmm.
And how he said it was like not in such a way. He was kind of trying to test me as far as like my understanding now in capoeira.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, I was like, capoeira game. I was like, capoeira always been a game, but I'm like, you gotta have a beautiful game or a very not a bad game. I like,
Mm-hmm.
but the main thing about it, I was like, if I'm playing in the harder, think about it like checkers and chess. You put a piece out there, you can make the person move where you want them to move,
Mm-hmm.
and then but you can look at the harder like something like that as well too. And then he was like, huh, he's just sitting there. He leaned back
Mm-hmm.
like he had his head on his chin. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
huh, hmm. He's like, you know what? He's like, oh man, it took the he's like, he's like, oh man, you understand capoeira now. I'm like, oh, I was just like,
After, I mean, after this amount of time,
right.
and training and researching, yeah, I mean, but to me that goes along with, and you said something important, it goes along with, style. I guess for me, I'll say methodology.
Yeah, yeah,
Even if it's me. So the thing about it, brother Michael, and Contra-Mestre is for me is this. It's something you said about Mestre Newsom. If you have a good teacher, or let's not good, a non-egotistical teacher, not that they're not good, because they
right,
could be.
right.
And then someone posed a question to me recently about a student. They want to go train with someone else. And I said, well, now Felix Ubima can be different. I said, they haven't really made a commitment to that yet. They're just trying to find out what it is they want to do.
Mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm.
someone posed a question to me and said, well, there was the other person they wanted to train with. Should I ask them and make a decision? I said, no. I said, what you should do is allow them to come train with you. They can still come to me. I said, this person has not made it. And Felix Ubima is a little different, but in this, it's more of you've made this internal commitment and it will show.
Mm-hmm.
But at first, you don't have to do that, because until you have to go to the place or the style or the methodology, whatever you want to call it, that brings the brightest smile to your face. Because if you're doing this for years and years and years, you have to be comfortable and you have to want to do it. It doesn't matter to me which method you choose. I think we all chosen the one that we feel the most comfortable with, or it chose us in some cases. But, and I was telling the person, I said, well, you got to give this person an opportunity and chance that you had to see. Don't force anyone to make a decision uh based upon, or don't force a decision on nobody. Let it happen naturally and organically. Because in the end, what you want is the person to be happy in whatever capoeira they choose to do. That's another happy person inside of the world of capoeira. And as we all know, based on the state of the world in general, we need more happy folk. So if that's the case, it's cool. You have to speak. I mean, you have to do what speaks to you. And it may be different from what speaks to Brother Mike, CONTRA-MESTRE, myself, this Godzilla statue that I'm looking at right now. And I'm admiring this, man. This thing is nice. But you know, it's you have to find out for yourself the capoeira you're passionate about and you want to do. Now I'm making it sound simple, and we know it's not that simple, but in the end, that's what it really is. And but someone that's your teacher or your person, your mentor, or just a senior person in the art, to me, that's how you approach it. You say, well, I can't give you that answer. Well, I'm not you. I cannot tell you what type of capoeira music puts a smile on your face, what songs that you like, or the style of training, or the people, or whatever. What I'll be giving you is what I like. And, you got to find that out. So, and then, one other thing, and I'm gonna shut up. I think with your body too, and I know we're gonna talk about this a little later, with your body, you kind of have to kind of find out your longevity. What you and I think all capoeira can be modified to fit the person, but you have to find out what you're comfortable with in that method of capoeira, or what method or of movement you may be more comfortable with, and not that you naturally gifted to do it. It's more like, well, what are you willing to train to get to, if you're having problems or issues, what you need to get to. So it's all about what makes you happy and brings enjoyment to you as a one of the ways to choose method. Now we can go, like the martial arts magazines, 10 traits of a good teacher, blah, 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 blah. But initially, I think it's where you feel wanted, comfortable, and, for lack of a better word, where you find your tribe at. What are your thoughts on that?
Everything makes sense from what you said. It's I mean, that's the thing. If you're gonna invest that time in what type of capoeira you like, I mean, because it's time and money to look at it, because you're gonna be paying money, that's for sure. Yeah, but it's like you really take the time to actually research, invest. If there's times where there's a class going on in the community or outside, or an open house or whatever, go try it out. But I would suggest trying out more than one capoeira. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you could actually go to like one class and you're like, oh, this class was just amazing, and I got this, and this, and you can be stuck with it. You stick with it, but then later on, say you've been doing you chose that group and in that style, and you've been doing it for 2 to 3 months. Then an open order happens, and then somebody from another group comes and does a whole different type of method of capoeira. Now you're like, oh wow, I like that capoeira. Yeah. So it's like, it's almost like it's the it's the term I had like we always used to use in the past. I believe you remember the Professor TROVOADA. The what we call class hoppers. Yeah. Because one person will be like, okay, this week I'm doing capoeira regional. Next week I'm doing capoeira Angola. Next week I'm doing contemporânea. It's like, okay. It's like he's just hopping around, or you'll like go to different classes and pick like the little pieces out. Yeah. So you go like, okay, I'll go over here to contemporânea because I want to learn how to do a mortal. Yeah. Or I go over here to Capoeira Angola because I want to like, possibly do stuff more slow or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, or they go to Capoeira Regional and they're like, I want to go because this is the style of Bimba.
Right.
This is the style of Mr. Bimba. And and it's like all those little nuances of things will like, grab people. But then it's like, okay, those are great. However, how far down a rabbit hole are you willing to go?
That's I think that's the $1,000,000. I was thinking about something. And I was thinking about it because I saw something on Facebook or YouTube, and it was in relation to jujitsu.
Okay.
And it was a guy who had these jujitsu tutorials. But he was talking about a move that this white belt was learning online with this guy. He just like went to an online like tutorial session, not from the guy I'm telling you about, somebody else.
Okay.
And so he's trying it in class and he's being successful a lot of the times. And so his teacher pulls him aside and says, man, that's cool. And it's not that I don't want you doing it or practicing it, but you're not ready for it because it leaves you open here, here, and here. And you don't know these techniques yet. And if someone gets you here, here, and here, you might get hurt or you might not be able to get out of it. So the guy's video was just a debate. Well, he wasn't debating anyone. He was saying like, well, what would you do if you're the student? Would you listen to the teacher that you have, that you're paying your money to, you go there and you train? Or would you say, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing it because I've had success with it. And this guy online says it's the way, like this is how you make everybody tap out all the time. And it was just interesting to read the comments, but that makes me think about the rabbit hole. All capoeira to me is deep. Some may be deeper than others, but all is deep if you choose to go that route. How can I say this? And I'll just get in trouble. Eventually, when you settle on one and you go that route of the one, you will see more similarities in certain ways, between the other modalities. It may be done differently. It may be called something differently. The setup may be different. But a lot of times I'm not saying it's 100% the same, but it's similar because, it is capoeira.
Right.
So, what I've seen is that different teachers, because I don't think it's maybe the capoeira itself, but it could be, at different times, different things are emphasized, or when you get to a certain understanding, different things are emphasized even in your own training. And I'm not saying that, when you first start, you gotta, I'm just gonna do this one. I totally agree. Like, you need to figure out what it is. You can go take a class here, and figure it out, but all of them have something in common. Is once you decide on the one that fits you and you really study it, you're gonna see a lot of stuff. But it's again, what does study mean? To some people, studies come in once a week, which is cool. It's just know that you're going to get out of it what once a week gives you. Some people study is they got a ton of books, they reading every day, they transcribe and they hear the bit about, and they're trying to find a way to transcribe it themselves. They're, doing this, they're doing this, they're like, they're very technical. If you put your leg here, then if I do this, then I turn this way. That's their level of study is gonna get something. Then there's the people who kind of just want to work out to be fit, and they have a certain level of study that I'm not knocking none of them. I'm saying that what you put in is what you get out.
Right.
But all the capoeira has a similar thing in that all of them can be studied deeply depending on how you want to do it. You got some people I see online now, a lot of people are in a capoeira as a practical application in a fight. Great, it's cool. That's a whole different level of study than the game. A whole different level. Because now we're talking about, okay, what happens when contact is made? That's a whole, as you know, brother, and Mike, I'm gonna assume you know, so forgive me if you don't. Once you get hit and knocked loopy, there's a whole nother mentality that comes with getting knocked loopy. It's a whole nother one that I don't think you should experience in the harder, because that's not what the harder is for. But it is people want to study capoeira as a fighting, knock something down, as a fighting art, in the vein that the Asian arts are studied as a fighting art. Let me say that. That's great. It's a different level of training, a different type of training. So I guess I'm saying it's a lot out there to be discovered in your capoeira study. But at some point, I think you need to do your research, like you said, but at some point, for your own good, settling down with the one that you like, because I think if you like it, you'll actually study it if you're so inclined to study. You'll find out, well, Chizoda, in a lot of variations in all capoeira, the setup is different, maybe the execution slightly different, this, that, and the other, but a variation of them are there. It might be one school may teach it in 6 months, one school may teach it in 2 years. It just depends. So you're not really, to your point, it's like you can hop and get stuff. And I'm not talking about a beginner, because I've with a beginner, I kind of have come to expect it because they're confused. They really don't know. And if you, like you said, if you see some, oh, don't do that. That's just our minds as a beginner.
Right.
Somebody a little more experienced, if you just, to me, took the time to study what you're doing and then play a lot of people. Now, see, this is another thing. Playing a lot of people is learning.
Yeah.
Playing a lot of people from different, and asking them. I remember when I used to get beat up in the hardest. I still do. I'm saying used to, meaning it was just back in the day. And I would just ask, especially if I got taken down, I would find the person and I would ask them, how were you able to do that to me? Oh, when you left your leg there, it was a little bit left too long. So I was able to do. And so then when I went home and trained, I'm like, okay, when I do this, I ain't gonna leave my leg there for that long. They ain't necessarily teach me to take down. I just wanted to know, well, how did you get me? Because I figured that you couldn't get me in this position and this. So and I would go write it down. He said, I have my notepad. He said that I left my leg too long in Mialua and I should have did. And that's what I would go home and get in my basement or the backyard, whatever I could find, and just practice not leaving my leg there that long. And that's another method of learning that you can still stick with what particular style or methodology you're doing, but you still learning from another person that may be of a different one, because you're just asking them, how were you able to do this to me? Man, I couldn't get out the way of all your kicks today. How were you able to? Oh man, we'll see. And then blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh, okay. And then to me, that's study. And you're still kind of getting something different, because in your class, they may not have gone over there. It might not be the way you do it, or they teach you to do it. But I think that's an unsung method of trying to learn or deepen your learning, is that asking questions when people seem to got your number or something. And I think most people, if you ask them, they're not gonna be like, no, they'll just be like, oh, if they not you, what you might get, they played so much, they might not remember that particular moment. Right. You get that too. They're like, well, I done played about 100 games. I don't remember that. It's just so sometimes it's so spontaneous. They don't remember. But the ones that do, I've asked, no one has ever said, no, man, I ain't telling you. They just, oh, all right, man, well, you done, blah, 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 blah. And, so it's a lot of ways to skin the cat, so to speak. But it's, these things, like, I guess for me, God, I'm talking too long. I guess for me,
You know, talking too long, man. You giving
I
nuggets
guess,
of knowledge.
but I guess for me, it's like, you know, you replay your capoeira history back. And I don't think this can be done. Well, it could be, but how to be a student, how to be like an effective student, not for the teacher, but for you.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, come with a notepad. I marvel how people don't have notepads in class. I'm like, how are you going to remember this?
I can't get that. I can't get that. You know, I
I
know
have a
everything is
notepad when I
about.
teach because I don't remember. I'm like, let me look over here. All right, we about to do this.
I know everything's about like smartphones and all that stuff nowadays. But I'm like, look, no, I give me an old notepad that's like barely hanging on by the thread and the glue.
I,
Like,
you know, I wonder, and Mike, you can chime in on this too if you find this, if you use one. I found
Mhm.
that learning the songs was easier for me when I had a notepad and I would copy them down. It was something about the pen and me writing those words that helped to ingrain it more as opposed to look like I do now. Look on the smartphone and I just skim the words. I'm like, okay. But me years ago, because what I used to do years ago, man, I was nut. I used to copy the song 3 times. So one song 3 times. Because I felt that by me writing it, I would get and sing it as I'm copying it. I felt it would help me ingrain. I don't have time for that no more. That's back in the day. But and I still got those notebooks. I'm like, man, I used to do this. And I'm like, wow. But it helped. But I was, you know, from the old school martial arts approach, the Asian school of martial arts approach, you had to come in there, you had to come in there with a notepad and pen. Because how are you going to remember? Now you might not physically be able to mimic everything in the class because you need some subtleties, and but at least you have a blueprint. You're like, oh, well, we did this kick. Well, I don't like this kick. Let me work on it more. Everything I didn't like, I did double or triple. I'm like, I don't like it. I mean, I got to do triple because I knew if I didn't like it, left to my own devices, I wouldn't do it. I'm like, nah, let me go ahead and triple this sucker up. I can't stand this kick. Like I never really liked, certain things until I got understood what they were for. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so, but it was just something. I don't know where I got it from. I can't see anyone sat down and explicitly taught me that. It was just something. I guess I made up a lot of stuff for me to learn so I wouldn't get bored. I was like, let me just make this up. And then I did. It was a book I read. Oh man, that had to be like in the early 90s. It was about an American guy, but it was about Japanese karate. And he was talking about his training that he used to do every year on his birthday. It's a term where they do this exhaustive training. And that kind of inspired me. I'm like, oh, well, it was like he did like 500 or 600 of everything, but it was always on his birthday. And it was a certain method of training that they had that they called it something. And I will read that book now. My days of doing 500 and 600 is way I be in the hospital. But
oh, come on, just pace yourself.
nah, man, no.
I don't feel.
No.
Look, I'm glad I'm in good company. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I had to
Not now.
had to break it out. I'm like, okay, you
Nah.
know what? I'm about to piece this out. Okay, like today will be 100, tomorrow.
Yeah, not now. It's just But back in the day, when I had the time, because it's really
Right.
just time consuming.
Yep.
It takes a long time, but that inspired me, and I read his manual, and it inspired me of how he categorized his training, and I kind of imitated some of that. And but it's learning. So I didn't need to go to the Japanese karate class to learn something from the Japanese karate guy to put to my training. It's just that mentality of I think you gotta want to do it. You gotta want it, and you will find ways to do it. I'm done.
I'm gonna jump in, but most of what I say, it kind of already is connected to what you guys have mentioned. I think the piece of it resonating with you is very important. Of course, if it resonates, you have a deeper connection. You're able to work through those issues that may come up versus if you're not connected, you may look at it as a barrier that you can't cross and you just give up. So that resonation piece is very big. Then we look at the as y'all was saying, the different modalities. Um, shoot, there's pretty much nothing in life that stays the same, and each person has their own spin that they're going to put on it, or even it don't even have to be a spin. How they experience it will be different than everyone else. So you have to take that into consideration as well. And I'll be quiet. So that's all I had for that part.
No, that's hey, that's again, that's knowledge and experience. I mean, just sometimes it's where I don't want to say it took, I use that as an example. It took me a moment to like find out that I actually wanted to like do capoeira Angola. You know, in the beginning it was just like, okay, you know, being able to first meet like, you know, to Darius and then brother Trovada, and then you know, and then everybody else, you know, you know, like Melandro and Mayozu and Caval. It's like we had just this capoeira, but then we had to go through like our trials and errors to find where we are now. So and every time it would come around, like somebody says like, oh, the capoeira Angola, like I heard capoeira Angola Sabento Grande, then I heard capoeira Angola, then I had to learn more about it's funny. You know what? I have to use that example that just had that experience that just happened right now. Beforehand, when I didn't, I just heard capoeira. I heard capoeira Angola Sabento Grande. I was just, you know, have everybody else that would keep constantly telling me like, oh well, you know, that's, you know, I know Sabento Grande is a toke on the berimbau. And then it was like, okay, but then I had sat and talked to my first semester that I had, and you know, with this event, and he just went over to, you know, explaining like Capoeira Angola Sabento Grande again, you know, with the how the luta aspect of it and everything is actually expressed more in Rio de Janeiro, you know, with this form of capoeira that they call it. And then and I'm like, huh, all right. So it was a lot of things that he was talking about. I was like, okay, I researched that. I understand what you're talking about with this, but it's more of like, you know, it's almost like how the experience that I had in Bahia for the first time, where it was like a class I took, and the class was street capoeira. It was like, okay, the capoeira that you're gonna be playing in the street. And um and then hearing this, so I was like, huh. But even hearing that explanation of it is like, yeah, that's still not the capoeira Angola. So I was like, and then, you know, but again, the thing that was funny about it is that again, I was able to experience this again with, you know, the different teachers. I was able to sit there and actually talk to him. You know, I've been able to talk to, you know, other masters that I had in the past, but it was like just talking to him, I could actually feel and see the age. Like feel and see the age and the age, the wisdom, and the ego wasn't there. And it was just like, oh, like I said, I literally sit back. Me and him I had like he had such a sick and twisted like sense of humor, and I'm like just feeding it too. So he start one thing, and then I'm saying something else, and I'm like, oh wow, this is just. I'm like, yeah, it took almost like over 30 years, and now I'm like, oh, now I understand. Like it's just as sick and twisted as possible. It just probably got worse. So, but yeah, and it's but yet again, even when I was talking about it, he didn't try to come back and go like, oh, so you want to come back and train with the group? You didn't do that. You didn't even do it at all. He was just like, well, what do you know how to do? I was like, well, I learned, I know you don't do batucada. I learned about batucada. I learned about, Orisha dance and things like that, and then the different rhythms for the Orishas and all this type of stuff. He was like, man, you went way farther than I went. He was like, I just went here. He's like, you went all the way over there. So, but being able to even hear that from the humbleness, and then him still respecting my decision. Like, I know this ain't the capoeira Angola that called to you, but he was like, I'm proud of where you went. And even being able to get that out of a teacher's mouth, for them to say I'm proud of you, or like I'm happy and this, I'm like, well, I had to stop myself. Like, wait a minute, I was messing with him. Like, hold on a second, you mind if I get my phone real quick and hit record on this? Because I would love to keep this. And he was like, he's like, well, he's like, I could say it again, but then it's gonna sound all sick and twisted. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll just go with the one time. I'm good. So, but going back into it again, it's that making that decision. I mean, when you make that decision, and then also don't ignore the signs that you see. Don't ignore them, because it could at times. I mean, I've sat and talked to other people that I know, and they were like, they stopped doing capoeira because it was one day they just woke up and they're like, oh man, this isn't the capoeira that I wanted in the beginning. This teacher is not who I thought they were. All of this different type of stuff can come into it. So it's like, also don't agree with it, because yes, all of us have gone into capoeira and anything in life with that starstruck feeling. It's like, man, you may see somebody and you're like, man, you see this guy? This guy did every movement in a video game, a capoeira I done seen, man. It's like, man, look, this guy's amazing. And you're like, okay, yeah, they can do all of that, but then them as a human, that's a whole different thing. So yeah, it's like, it's almost like, you turned on the infomercial for capoeira, but then once you finally get that sham wow in your hands, and you're like, I tried it out. Yeah, it's not that good as the commercial. So yeah. But then, again, go around, experience other capoeira. And then, even sit down, like even with the notebook, write down what happened that day. But what I suggest doing, write down what happened that day, and then also write down the pros and cons of it. Yeah, because if you're like, okay, this was good and everything, except I didn't like that the class was short. Okay, I got a lot of from this and everything, but they didn't really do that much music. Write down the things, because you get to compare it at the end, and then you have more to go by from that. Like, okay, now I'm going to invest in this monthly membership, or I'm going to pay for a couple of months, or this, that, and the other. Same thing like if you were going to Planet Fitness or something. You're gonna see every commercial, which is like capoeira too, kung fu, any art period. You will get the infomercial or the commercial of, like, Planet Fitness comes on. What's the best thing you see? You see somebody on a treadmill or lifting weights. They already sweating, and they're like, oh yeah, don't come in and be like this type of person. They don't do the negative reinforcements anymore. They do the positive things, but they still know how to actually sell it. You're gonna see somebody with like not even 6-pack abs. They got like an 8-pack abs. They look like Baki's father. He like, hold on, man. Muscles look like a demon. It's like, what the? So, and you're like, okay, yeah, you want to look like this guy? You want to look like this woman? Oh yeah, come to Planet Fitness. And then it's like that. Capoeira has become that same way too. Capoeira has at times become a fashion show. I can see somebody like, it may be somebody like, doing doing Beji Forta. And you know, they're doing that, and then one hand, they're like this, bodies like this, perfect L. And the other hand that would be holding the leg, the other hand's holding the bending bow. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, that's all right. Hey, that's what you were feeling that day. All right. But then, you know, some people like, man, that's a dynamic pose. And, you know, he's holding the bending bow. That's power in that. You're like, that's the sell. Or, you know, somebody will catch somebody doing like negative, and the other person did a no-handed backflip over them in the negative, and they caught that picture just right. Not saying that it probably didn't take like 10 to 12 takes to actually get that right. And they're like, oh man, then they look at it like, I want to do that. So it's like, again, take the time and research it, because you know, sometimes, you know, everything you go in there starstruck, everything's gonna go whoop over your head.
And then maybe one other thing, you know, that you made me think of it when you're talking, know yourself too. For instance, you may be the type of person you like tangible reinforcement. So you may want to go with a system that has belts. It's not, and you know, we don't use belts. So when people come to us, I said, nah, we don't use belts. And how can I say? I'm not saying it as a positive or negative. I'm just saying as a statement of fact. But if you say, well, you know, and I've had people say that, well, you know, I want to kind of do the capoeira that has belts. So I'm like, well, you might want to check this person out because their system uses belts. I ain't gonna try to keep him like, well, you know, we got this to simulate. We ain't got it. We ain't got it.
Yep.
So if that's a reinforcer for you, it's not a bad thing. Just the way you want a belt because it's a reinforcer to you. Go for that capoeira. I mean, that's one part of it, but if that's a big part of it for you, seek out that capoeira which may hold that for you. But you got to be honest with yourself too. Like you gotta, you know, but the good thing now, and I'll say this even in Michigan, which is saying a lot. The good thing now is there's a lot of capoeira. Even here, it's a lot of capoeira. Or different types of capoeira. Let me put it that way. Back in the day, it wasn't. So a lot of times you wanted to do capoeira, and that was the capoeira available to you, and you stuck with it because it was available to you. It was the only capoeira that was available. Well, that's cool. Because, you know, we did what we had to do back in the day. Uh-oh, the Godzilla's arm just fell off. Oh, man, I got to repair Godzilla. Okay.
Say, that's too much ashe right there.
I know. I don't know what he doing. You're looking at me funny, too.
Like you hit on something a little bit too strong. Like, oh.
Look,
like,
he got this
man,
look. He got this look on his face like he want to, I don't know. But
as long as your guys say looking like, look, check this out.
Right. If he start talking, boy, we all gonna be rich. But you know, just you don't no one has that now. In most big places, most big cities, there's at least a few capoeira groups. So you can kind of you can find something that's close to what you need or want as possible if it's not the exact thing. But I just remember back in the day, we had what we had. And that was it. But it's so refreshing, excuse me. It's so refreshing now. You don't have it. The only, and I'm gonna say this, the only people that have a problem with it being this way are the people trying to sell their product. That's the only people. I love it.
Yeah.
I would love to go to an event and see Angoleiro, Contemporâneo, Regional, something else that somebody didn't call. It might be something else. I don't know. Was out there no more like that. And they're playing together and it's no big issue. I love that. And if somebody like, hey, I think I want to do that, I go for
it. Now this is directly connected to what you're saying. With me being from the South, Alabama, there are a handful, and when I was doing training in Alabama, I was I was the only person that I knew of in Montgomery. That was a very, very small group in Auburn, which is about 45 minutes north or east of Montgomery. Then there were some brothers all the way at the top of Alabama in Huntsville. So it was like spread. And it was crazy because you kind of like, dang, like if you're gonna train or you're gonna make this holder, you're gonna be sacrificed because you got to ride on your hands, the ride, the time, all that, tied into that. So that was real interesting in Alabama. Um, it was something else I had right beside that statement. Uh, oh, this is what I brought that up for. So I don't know, y'all may be plugged in with some groups or know some groups in Atlanta. And what you said as far as like just seeing the Angelero and the Asian Nile and all the different groups coming together, like from afar, I trained in Atlanta a few times with a couple different groups, but it's like there's the pockets, but there's also a cohesiveness that's taking place in Atlanta, man. It's just so beautiful. Like it's like 3 or 4 different groups that always get together, mainly on Sundays. They do the music, they do all types of stuff together. They do food. It's just beautiful to see. And I think a lot of times that aspect of capoeira is not celebrated as much. And it's just powerful to see. With me, amongst many things, the community aspect of capoeira is near and dear to me. And I know a lot of people, they mainly may focus on the movement, how well you can do the flips, or how well you can do the movement, how well you can sing or play the berimbau. But I think in order for and it, of course, it will survive, but that community piece, it even touches those that they may never get in the holder, but they still want to be a part of something. So I wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, man. I mean, I know my brother, Professor Melandro's down and he just maybe moved maybe a year ago or maybe more down to Atlanta. So I know his cousin actually has a martial arts school, but his cousin himself used to train with Mestre Muriel. So he kind of still does some capoeira. So I know who you're referring to. They get together which is great, man. I would love to see more of that where we're at. I would love to see more of it anywhere, I mean. But I think that is a big aspect, and it is something to be said for people who they don't necessarily train capoeira, but they come around it. They may be there. I mean, but the funny thing, man, we used to do that back in the day here. I mean, we used to do it a lot, and it was cool because we just get together, and you'd always and it was always outside. Most of it was outside, and you would just have somebody randomly walk by and they start dancing or clapping or, well, I see y'all. I see what you're doing. And they keep on going, but it was cool. That I think a lot of, okay, one, I think we've gotten older and gotten families. So our free time is not like it used to be. But I also think with the kind of the commodification, if everybody's trying to conquer space to get their students and to get their money, some of that's been lost because now it's like and I'm not talking between CONTRA-MESTRE and myself, I'm just talking in general. It's kind of like this, I got to present myself in a way that's I'm showing I'm better than you so I can get people. Like that's what I feel, Here, I'm just talking about here. Or maybe it's not better, maybe it's I present myself better than you do. So it's like this, it became commercial. Okay, how can I explain it? It's commercial because you have to have people paying to come to your class, to pay for the space. You may want to make a profit, et cetera, et cetera. But it was still done that way, where it was still organic. It was not, I don't have to make myself be like I'm the greatest dude in capoeira here to get people. People gonna either want to do it or they don't. And it's a lot of factors in that, but it boils down to that. And they may want to do it with me. They want to do it. May want to do it with CONTRA-MESTRE. May want to do it with X, Y, or Z. And all you can do is present what you do, but it's also the community, because, man, I think a lot now, especially with our social media and particularly for younger folks, the way they're accessing things, that community aspect of capoeira is needed, because of something, especially in the Black community. Now, we still have stuff that don't necessarily need social media. Like, we still got barbecues and gatherings and stuff, but it's my fear is the extinction. The extinction will happen, because over time, social media is just, you got a lot of people more raised on social media, so that face-to-face socialization is scary to them. And so they kind of withdraw more than ever. But with, just have like a huddle at the park, or like when I was training with some people, I ain't had no space. So I started training at the park up the street from me. Just people would meet me, and just people would walk by and kind of like look and nod and wave. It's just that little type of thing. They would acknowledge. They ain't necessarily want to come over and train, but they were, oh, hey, oh, wow, okay, I see that. And it's that same spirit, but I'm agreeing with your point, and it does have a chance of being lost, because social media, and I'm not blaming it, because it's a thing, but it's more like it's the comfort level of sitting behind your computer as opposed to face with someone. It's different. And thank goodness, as of yet, no one has come up with virtual AI capoeira where you can just be in your head and you ain't gotta, because when that happens, if it happens, that's it, man. Because then it's easy. To me, some things in like, I'll be honest, man, the acrobatics in capoeira, the hardest thing for me, man. I'm 6'2", about 270. It's hard. But I've never shied away from it totally, because hard just means a challenge. And so, and I think about the youth sometimes. I work in a school system. They fold from challenges, man. Like, they fold. Like, if they don't have a right support system at home or in the community, in the neighborhood, I see it. They fold, man. A little challenge happen, they done. They ready to either get violent, throw in the towel, succumb to depression. Not that you can. I'm not talking about the clinical type, but succumb to like the feelings of being down. And then this is other stuff out here that's easier, that presents less of a challenge, they fall back on as a support system. And so I truly believe that the community aspect of capoeira should be talked about more. It should be raised up, because honestly, man, for me, I look at it this way. You could have the best gymnasts in the world are not capoeiristas. They're people who do gymnastics, like competitive. Them guys and girls can do some amazing stuff, but they can't come. But it would be hard for them to do Jenga, because it's a different type of coordination. And so it's even harder to overcome your shyness, to pick up a pandero and somebody points to you like, it's your turn to lead. You're like, oh, is it? So it trains. It's a lot of aspects of capoeira that I do think, and I agree with you, Mike, that's overlooked, that's just as important as the physicality. Like, just sometimes standing there clapping is more important than the physicality, because you're one of the conduits responsible for the energy of those people in there. And you're part of a whole while being an individual. And it's something as an educator in the school system is not taught. You have to really work hard to teach that, because it's about school books and curriculums. But it's an aspect of capoeira, I think, that needs more emphasis, because as people get older, and we're gonna segue, I guess, into the talk about modified movement, but as people get older, there has to be a way for them to access capoeira. It can't all be a young, we know it's a young people's art, but it can't all be a young people's art. Because guess what? Those young people, if they stick with it, they're gonna become older people. And a 22-year-old body, or let's skip a 15-year-old body and a 60-year-old body, two different type of bodies there. You got two things going. You got some stuff that's going on that's a little bit different. And so, you know, that's a bad segue, but modified movement.
Oh no, that was a perfect segue. That's the best that you could get. Yeah, look, it's compared to, look, I'm 15 years old and I can run like 10 laps, and then 60 is like, wait a minute. What did you say? Like, how about I give you 1 to 1.5, like something like that. Like, oh no, you know what? Or what's the whole thing? I used to be always, what's the best medicine and everything that we just have in the community? Like, oh, you got a cut, put some tussin on it. You got a cold, put some tussin on it. Your back hurt, rub some tussin on it. It's like, what? You want me to do 10 laps? Let me take some tussin first and talk to you tomorrow. Like, like So yeah.
Castor oil.
Yeah, exactly. A castor oil. Or, look, oh no. My wife sell it at her store. So Father John's. Like, hold on, let me see a swig of that real quick and talk to you in a minute. Like, oh no. Almost like you taking turpentine for medicine. It's like, oh God, that stuff is just terrible.
I don't know if you guys remember Mercurochrome. It was like you rub it on your sores. Like, I remember going in the street, you bust your knee on something, mama slapped that, man, it's burned like a mug. Get on out there and play, boy. You all right? Mercurochrom's red too. Boy, that stuff burned like a mug, man.
I don't remember that.
You remember that? It might have, I remember Mercury, it might be called another name, but I just remember it was a brand. But every time I got a sore, you bleed, just slap on that Mercure, all right, and put a Band-Aid on. You all right, go on out there. You okay?
It was, what was it? I had oh, you know what? You brothers keep going. I got an emergency call coming in. Yeah.
But yeah, modified movement. I think it's necessary. Everybody's body type, everybody's flexibility level is different. And worst thing I think that can happen is people being forced into something they're not ready for.
Mm.
And I mean, man, and I think as Americans, we have to kind of understand our bodies, that some Brazilians still they walk a lot, they might not have all the sitting, and so their hips and stuff are more flexible. So even coconinho, we call guarda baixa, sitting in it low is not an issue. But for a lot of Americans, it's an issue. So you got to work your way up even to that, before you can do the full movement. For some people. Some people no, but some people yes. And I always tell people it's okay. Just you got at some point you just got to work your way through it. But the only moves I don't modify are standing kicks, because even if you're not flexible, you might only be able to scrape it off the ground, but you can still kind of do it. But it's those harder more flexibility and strength-based movements that you have to modify, because then you don't know what injuries people are coming to you with, and sometimes they don't even know. You know, they just, oh, I always feel a twinge in my shoulder, but whatever, it's been there for years, and I don't know, you know, I don't know anything about it.
Right.
And I remember I used to have these problems, and still do, with my knees. I won't say who told me this. One of the worst pieces of advice I got back in the day, I would tell the person, I say, my knees always hurt. You know, knees. Oh, no, let me not imitate the voice, because you'll know who I'm talking about. do more cocorinha. I'm like, but my knees, when I go past a certain point, they hurt. But your advice is to do more of which that hurts me. Now, even back then, like you talk about admiring people, I admire people to the point where I use my common sense. I'm like, that makes no sense.
Right. Yeah, but I'm like, so you gonna tell me just to keep throwing
basically
keep
messing your knees up. I'm like, this is weird. And so again, you know, I'm gonna stress to people that watch this, especially beginners. I don't think Senior Google knows everything, but you can Google some stuff about some stuff and get better advice. Or you can seek out a physio, you know, or chiropractor, somebody that can kind of give you some. But sometimes the capoeirista, the teacher is not the best, because they can do it. They're not thinking about someone who can't do it, and you could become very injured taking some crazy advice, you know, if you don't say, that don't sound right, you know. Now I listen sometimes, be at events, and people be asking certain people, you know, the higher ups, oh man, I can't do this. What should I? Well, I'll just do this. I'm like, oh, if you can't do this, what, you can't do that. Like, it's I'm like, oh, ain't my business. But you know, I think with modified movements, the person is this giving the modified movement and the person is receiving it has to use some common sense. Like, it's certain things it ain't smart to do.
All right. Apologize for that, brothers coming in. Yeah, it's one statement that I always keep telling my students. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do these movements, except listen to your body. I'm like, listen to your body. I'm like, listen to your body. I'm like, I'm like, listen to your body. If your body is telling you to stop, stop. I'm like, I'm not gonna chew you out. I'm not gonna degrade you. I'm not gonna anything. My main concern is that you enjoy what you're doing today in the class. You enjoy just life, period. And at the same time, I'm like, I am not trying to teach anybody to be my clone. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I do not need clones. I do not want clones. I do not. And when I look at, and again, these are different groups. Different groups have their own way. But then, you know, I'll see workshops at the same time. And then everybody in the workshop does Jenga exactly the same. There is no personality. There is no theater. There's no art. There's nothing that makes that person unique. I'm like, okay, again, I'm like, different groups, different way. Different way that I teach my students, different ways that Professor TROVOADA teaches his students, different ways that we teach them. And I know he has this exact same ideology, is that I'll teach you the movements, but I want you to learn it for you. I'm like, learn it for you. I'm like, I don't, would I want to put my students on, like, you know, do I want to push them? Yes, I will push them. I feel like a good teacher has to be able to push their students. Much like it almost segues into the thing of like a parent. A parent will want to push their child to be the best and the most amazing person that they can be, because you want them to be better than you. But at the same time, letting them know that, you know, you can actually grow and learn yourself. So, and be comfortable with it as well, too. It's it's one thing that it was a class that I had, and I still and it goes into the modified part, but I feel like also the modified part also needs to be not just physical but mentally as well too. There was a class that I had. I remember going into a class, and what was the movement we were doing? We had to do Melo Costa, and the Melo from the back, and the person had to escape under it and do Hashira. They were doing Hashira at the balancing leg. So they were like, okay, so you were supposed to learn the level of like how high your leg goes. If your leg goes too high, you have this big of a gap open, so somebody could go under it and do Hashira and get you. I'm like, okay. But the thing that the teacher wanted us to say it, I couldn't agree with it. He was like, oh, if you do this movement, if you get caught, you have to say, "El soy estúpido." You have to say, "I am stupid." I was like, what? So I'm in my head like, how is this gonna help me? And and the modified portion of it was either I follow what this person is saying, but then at the same time I'm gonna call myself stupid. I'm like, no. And I remember me sticking up myself and saying that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm like, I could say, I could look at the whole fact and be like, I could say I got caught, but I'm not gonna call myself stupid. I'm like, dude, that's no. Yeah, but most people was in there, they was like, yeah, so stupid. I'm like, you know what? You say that. I'm not saying that. But the modified portion of that of my brain was like, no, I'm not doing that. But in modified movement again, listen to what your body is saying. You probably had a hard day of work, and you're like, okay, well, we got to come in here and we got to do 100 repetitions of this movement in the class. And you're like, yeah, so teach. I only got like 20 in me. And you're like, okay. Being able to respect yourself. And if you have that type of teacher, that teacher will be able to respect you as well. And then even the modified movement is going to come again. Nobody is a clone of everybody. And like, let's see. And let's just say it like that. I'm not going to say his name because I want him to be able to still have his way that he can still hide who he is, a capoeira. But I got stupid. He got some bad knees. Them bad knees, he told me the bad knees came from like injury he got from capoeira, or the capoeira he used to do. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I was like, you know what? The capoeira that I teach, I was like, I teach it from this way. I'm like, I have for many years guinea pigged myself. I'm like, I have like tried different things. How did my body react to it? And I'm like, don't teach that person. Don't teach them that way. Don't do it this way. Don't do it that way. And from that, and then also like, like background being in massage therapy, I'm like, okay, I know the different ways in the muscles and the ligaments and the actual bone and all the things are going to react. Even your lymphatic system, all the fluid and stuff that's in your body. I'm like, okay, I know how that's going to react. But I also understand the crap that your body's going through. So I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So I'm like, okay, let's try to work these movements where they're more modified to possibly help your body, to help you enjoy capoeira, not to help you be like, I'm gonna work through the pain. No, no. So like what's the name of the movement? There's one movement, how I was taught, it's called molegio. Molegio is supposed to be like once I can bring my camera down. Molegio is, you know what? I actually can. Let me move something out of here because it's better that I just have that as an example to show it. Let's see. All right. I think I can maneuver this camera down now. All right. Let's see. So, get out of the chair. So, Molegio, we learned it starting off. I'm like, I had to go down here. I'm starting off already here. So my knees are out. How many people are comfortable getting even that far? Like nobody. Nope. So I'm showing the movement. I'm like, okay, this is the whole movement. I'm going here. I'm here. If you're gonna start learning it, but the end result is that you're gonna be here. You're gonna be there. You're gonna be here. So, you know, then you're going over, coming back around and coming back up. But some people, that is a no-no for them. So I showed them it, and I'm like, no, we start learning, we start going here and then going from here and start leaning back. As soon as I saw him even get not even a quarter of the way, got a tenth of the way. I was like, I'm not going to teach you that movement. And then actually me even being a teacher and honestly being like, I'm not going to teach him that movement. I'm not going to teach him that movement because why? He can't do it. I want to keep a movement to myself to have one over my student. No, I don't want to damage his body. I do not want him to damage his body. I'm like, his enjoyment of capoeira is more important to me than him saying I can do every movement in capoeira. I'm like, no. So after that was slowly, piece by piece by piece, it's helped his knees. So now he knows his measure of how far he can go down. He can still play a low game. He can play a really, really low game now. But he's like, oh, no. He's like, I need to warm my body up first. And I need to, do a little bit more stretching and have some water. And then I'm like, okay, good. He was like, after that, I can use the warm-ups and stuff we did in class. And he's like, I can enjoy the harder after that. He's like, but if you're asking me just to jump into it, no. I'm like, good. I'm like, good. Because at the same time, again, you want to be able to pour everything into the student, but then sometimes you just can't because, sometimes they have limitations, but their limitations doesn't mean that they can't. I hate that word. Most of the time with everybody in modified things, people say, I'm like, I believe in there's no can'ts, don'ts, woulda, shouldas, couldas, but there's reality. So here's reality. If you're a bigger person and you ain't comfortable doing a handstand, okay, cool. You know what? You don't have to do no handstand, but you can at least just get your body up a little bit. I like to get your body up a little bit. Or you may not be comfortable doing a handstand, but you may be comfortable doing a cartwheel. And it's like, okay, cool. You may be comfortable doing martello, and you're not comfortable jumping in the air and doing parafuso. It's like, like, no. I'm like, okay, good. You know what? I'm like, I'll give the student the opportunity to try out the movement. I'm like, at least if you try it, at least you could just go back and say, hey, I tried it. I did try it. You're like, oh, I'm not comfortable doing that. And, you know, one day you may come back and come like, you know what? I want to try that movement again. Because, you know, that time that led to it, they've been doing all these other movements so far. They've built up this level of even confidence, because modified movement will also help people's confidence, you know, in them, their learning, their movements, their growth, all of that stuff. And then they may come back and like, you know what? I got a good understanding of this now. Let me try that movement again. So modified movement is I feel I know is essential in capoeira. It is essential. Even the it was a technique that I had created. I started messing around with it, and I'm gonna share it with you guys and then share it with everybody. I'm like, you know, it's a technique I like. It's my my 150 and 25. All right, so the 150 25 is basically by a percentage rate. It's by a percentage rate, and then also is by a measure of the body. So say 100 would be the level of your shoulder. 50 will be at your core. Okay, and 25. So let's see. Yeah, 100 at your shoulder. 50 is at here at the midline of the body, the hips and the core, and then 25 will be at the level of here, like the actual down from the. Oh, see if this camera is going to readjust itself. Come on, camera, work with me. So it'll be down past your knee, like down to your knee to your foot. So that's 25. So using 100, 150, and 25, I'm doing movements where 100. Okay, so knowing that if you do something past 100, that means your leg is going to be too high. So you have a potential for it to be open. So, but also realizing that every movement that you do in capoeira doesn't mean that you have to do it 100%. That's where I'm like, that's where the game starts to come into place. That's where that mindset starts to come into place. The game, the art, and theater. Game, art, theater. I keep telling all students, I'm like, game, art, theater. This is modified movement. So if I know I'm going to do like, I want to be Jean-Claude Van Damme today. So I want to kick like, you know, as high as I can. I want to be like kickboxer 1 through 10 or whatever. So I'm like, I want that high kick. So I'm going to here, I'm going jinga, jinga. Okay, good. I'm on my tele. Wham, high. I'm like, so, you know, in my head, I'm saying Frank Dukes, singing Kumite in my head. So, so I'm like, I want to kick high, wham. But what's the danger zone that's happening inside of that? My leg is up so high, I don't have that much balance. And it's easy for not even somebody to give me hosteta, but just to bump me, and I'll fall over. So I'm like, okay, Martello at 100. You still got it where it's still a level of danger that can happen. You can still get some movement from it, but at least you have more placement in your foot. That, and then also the movement doesn't have to be 100%. And the main movement I always speak about would be like Melogy French. So I'm here in a lot of different groups. They do it a different way. So they'll let it go past. It'll go all the way past. Boom, like this. It's all the way past. What are some of the goods and bads that come from that? Because every movement in capoeira has a pro and a con. I'm doing that. I'm showing my flexibility. Okay, good. But also at the same time, all of this is open. So it's like, and that's going to take too long for you to adjust yourself if you want to bring the leg back. So I have to hear, oh, it's too late. I got to try to do something. It's too late. Then you're just thinking about your leg. What about your head? What about your back? What about your leg? All of those key points. So, or, you know, do that and then, oh, crap, I got to go down and then do negativo away. Something like that. But 150, 25. the 100 fully high like that. Wham. Okay, that. But Capoeira Angola, we have a middle line. And I know, you know what? I don't even, some person would be like, oh, why are you talking about Capoeira Angola? You talk about the technique. Capoeira is Capoeira, man. Get over it. So it's based on a middle line. So my 100 will have my art and my theater together. So my 100, I'm here, boom, right there. I'm still doing the movement, but I'm not bringing it all the way around. And then also, I'm not starting over here. So I'm not here. My Meology French is like, all the way over here. That's too much time. The person's going to come in, do cabeçada, you know, you go do a whole bunch of stuff. So, or maybe a game where you're just playing like that. You may want to like, oh, invite the person in. A beautiful game. But like the 150-25, in any movement in capoeira can be done mostly with a 150-25. So Melogy French, 100. That was at the shoulder. 50. That's at the hip, the midline. 25. Low is touching the actual, like the shin or the area, just touching a foot. A 150-25. So it being modified. I mean, use any movement like that. Chapeau French. Chapeau French. Okay, 100. Chapeau French. Okay, 50. Okay, Chapeau French. 25. Okay. Any movement can be done that way. So mostly any movement. So, but you know, you some of them, you know, you jumping all the way up in the air. You're like, oh well, I'm already at 100. And when I come down, that's the 50-25. I survived. That's it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, but that's, you know, that's what gives capoeira itself longevity. Because I've always, not always, let me say, in the last, since I got old, last 10, 15 years, I would think about, and this is just me, comparing capoeira like with other martial arts and say, you know, if I was a person, let's say I'll be 50 in a week. So let's say I'm that person. I'm like, oh, I want to get into a martial art. I've never done one. And I go to YouTube, because that's where you're going to research these days. And I see capoeira. I might like the music. I might like some other aspects. I might be like, oh, it's brothers and this, you know, it's cool. Then when you go see the capoeira is going to have the most views, you're looking like, nope, I ain't doing it. Because you're going to see all this stuff. You don't see what you're showing. That's what I'm saying. You don't see, okay, you can do it this way too. You don't see that. The ones with the most popular, and I'm not downing people with popular views. I'm just saying, if I'm want to do some martial arts, then I type in karate, I'm gonna see the reverse punch. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can imagine myself doing that. I'm gonna type in some kung fu. If it's Wushu style kung fu, then I'm gonna have the same thing about capoeira. I'm like, oh, man, I ain't doing this butterfly twist and this. But if it's just flowing, it might be Tai Chi, it might be Wing Chun. It's, you know, you're gonna be like, I can do that. But because capoeira, the popular image of capoeira is a young person's thing, you get a lot of people who may want to do capoeira, but then they just see what's going to come up is the things that have the most views on YouTube or where you're doing your research. And I think about it sometimes. I'm like, you know, it's got to turn people off, because there's certain people that will like every other aspect of it. Then they're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And then they go to somewhere, and you can't change a lot about the present. Well, you could, but you know, that's another thing. But then you get a lot of people who might otherwise be capoeiristas who become jujitsu players, Tai Chi enthusiasts, and other thing, because it looks like you could do it. And that's always, I'm like, we need a capoeira in general, not just for us, but a capoeira marketing thing where it shows that you can do capoeira in a lot of ways. And I think sometimes that's what that stops people who otherwise might have do capoeira or try it at least. And they're like, they look at this thing and this person's in the air for like 5 minutes and they're like, nah, I can't do that. Yeah. And it's it's just something I'm like, but the other martial arts have now you can go and see some very fantastic looking karate and taekwondo, but you could also go and see something that look like anybody could do. That's the thing. You're like, oh yeah, I can sit there and throw my arms out the screen, But you look at capoeira, you like it's a brother that approached me last week when I was leaving the boombox. Kurt was going to teach another class where I got about 15 minutes before he is, so I was just locking up and they were coming in. And his brother stopped me, said he had trained with Ahati Kalindi, and his daughters were with him. And he was like, what class do you teach? I was like, capoeira. He was like, oh man, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, yeah, I like that for my daughters. And I said, well, what about you? You join them. Man, I said, don't believe that you got to be like a young dude with a 6-pack. He was like, oh yeah, I got, I said, man, I ain't got no 6. Well, you could have one. I said, again, I ain't trying to get no 6-pack. Okay. I said, if you talk about your gut area, I said, the only thing you want to develop is a strong core. I said, but you come to class and develop that. I don't know, man. I said, well, just, I said, come next week. We have an open house. Try it out. You like it, don't. But I said, don't believe what you see. I said, just like we know with the Asian arts, there are levels to it. There's a deepness to capoeira too. I said, unfortunately, it don't get shown because it's not what's going to be the most popular view. I said, man, the things, I'm not trying to get him not to do the other arts. I'm saying, but the same way you can approach Kung Fu, Karate, Muay Thai, or there is deeper levels to this than what you see on YouTube. I said, YouTube is just what you see that's getting the most views, and what's going to get the most views is going to be the most spectacular. It's just how it is. But don't believe that capoeira is limited by that. I said, you can do capoeira, so why couldn't you? So you look better shape than me. I said, but the difference is I know I can do capoeira. I'm not looking at somebody's 6-pack and saying, oh, that's only for dudes with 6-pack. So 6-pack ain't nothing. And I ain't get into it because I was just like, just come on, man. But and it leaves me like it's just you can't look at somebody shape and man, it's some dudes that you look at do capoeira, like what? I mean, it's this one dude, this one mestre, I think his name is Mestre Moraya, and I seen him on Instagram. So this dude is huge. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, because
huge, man.
He a big guy. This guy does Pionji Cabeça.
Yeah, he's huge.
I was like, what?
And it's like, well, he wanted to do it. Ain't got nothing to do with your gut. Now, health-wise, okay, that's a choice or not a choice. I don't know what condition. But I mean, excuse me. So you can't let that stop you. But I do understand the way that capoeira is presented, that it would turn off someone who's not already in shape, whatever that means.
But what truly is in shape? But what truly is shape?
But it's all the shallow shape. And I'm not saying that to disparaging, but I mean shallow in the sense you just see what's on the surface in the true sense of the word. It's cool if you have that, but it's cool if you don't. You do capoeira too. If you can do capoeira and turn yourself into better shape if you watch your diet. That's what's gonna do it. But the thing that I like about capoeira for physicality, for physical fitness, is it kind of shapes your body, how your body is going to be shaped. Like everybody's not going to be the Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never, unless they consciously go to the weight room and drink a bunch of protein shakes and take all this stuff that, or eat a lot and they just happen to burn their metabolism, burn it off. But does it need to be though? I mean, I get we're in the Instagram age where everybody is selling you their fitness products. But does it have to be? If you look back in the day at Capoeira, it wasn't that way. You had some dudes that had their shirts off, and you could tell naturally that even if they didn't do Capoeira, they'd probably be hooked up. They just looked like that. Then you had the dudes with the gut hanging over, and then you're like, wow, this dude can do that. Then you have the tall, thin dudes that are lanky, and they playing. That's one of the things that attracted me to Capoeira. Like, oh, well, anybody do this. Because you're looking at the body. Now you have it where it would turn some people off, like, well, I ain't in shape. I can't do that. I don't want to do that because you got to be in shape. And I'm going to be embarrassed if I go to that class because I got a stomach. And people go, they in shape. And it's a catch-22 because you want to market it, I guess, you want to market it to everybody to me. And this is where Capoeira, to me, loses to other arts. Because even as popular as jiu-jitsu is, well, all these dudes that had a six-pack and they the jiu-jitsu man and all this stuff, you still got dudes in there with guts that's on the commercial too. Like it's or women with, it's got to be harder for women because of body image is already something that's kind of, issue. So they're like, well, I'm not going to be in shape. I'm not going to be like the women in the sports bras are showing off their six packs in the class and all that. And it does, it does hurt, I think, the prospects of people who might try to train capoeira. If it was shown that you don't have to be a certain way to do it.
Give me a whole bunch of people that's like 38 and up.
Because their minds are ready. Like a lot of that's about your mind, man. Like their minds are stable. They're stable people in general, in theory. Now, kids are one thing. Kids, with kids what you're gonna have to deal with because they're kids. I'm talking about that age range. It's like, give me the people who ain't so easily influenced by what they see on social media. Because, man, the way social media is, and I hate to use these mental health terms, so I won't use that term, but it's all over the place.
Right.
1 minute is you got a guy telling you how to get a six-pack, all you need is to empty your colon. I'm like, but if you empty your colon all the time, you gotta have something in there to protect your organs.
Yeah, you're supposed to have good and bad bacteria, actually.
Yeah. So you look at him and you're looking at the guy and it's like, dude, you didn't get no body like that from having no empty colon. You worked out. Like, I'm looking at how your stuff is shaped. It's then you got the other person to tell you all you need to do is just one exercise is gonna make you fit in every way. Ain't no one thing. But buyer beware. But I mean, those people who are easily influenced by that, man, they rough to deal with.
Well, easily influenced, and then also nowadays, it's not just it's universally with anything that happens. People want something that's fast.
Yeah.
They want something that's instant. They're like, oh, you telling me I could do that right now, and then in 5 minutes I got it. They're like, oh, it's like, you know what? Life actually doesn't work that way. And just that whole ideology that you have right there is going to not just limit you, but it's going to just limit. It is actually. It's going to limit you as a person and your growth. Period.
And it's all over the place. I mean, I'm sure. Well, I can't say that, but we all like martial arts movie to a degree, I'm sure. I remember back in the day, Jackie Chan, Drunken Master. Now, it seems him training, but it was the clothes changed, the scenery changed, like he's been training for a long time. Nowadays, well, you ain't really got martial arts. You got action movies where everybody just knows something. Like, you don't see how they got to just know. Everybody's just an expert fighter. But with the old school movies, it was a process of, well, these dudes had to train. Now, okay, it's a movie scene by scene, but they were trying to let you know it was a long process because his clothes are different in one scene. It's a different scenery. Then you see him mess up, especially in Jackie Chan movies. He messes up at first in his training. He doesn't do everything right. Then over time, it's like, oh, he's gotten better. He's gotten better. And so it's kind of like, yeah, these movies are fake and everything, but the process that they used to show you was a real type of process. And of course, they can't spend 30 years showing you this guy got good, so they have to do it in scene. Even Bloodsport, he started out getting thrown around by the sensei, and then near the end, you see him grow up, and then he's able to grab the bamboo thing. He's like, "You graduated, you ready to go," and
Yep.
So that's what I miss about it. But what it did was educated us that we were going to have to go in and work at something.
Yep.
Now these movies, I don't even call them martial arts movies. They're action movies or martial arts scenes. Everybody's an expert, and you don't know how. Everybody's killing like 500 people. It's like, hey, everybody is good.
Right.
You don't see the process because that's not what they're trying to do. But I understand that. But I'm just saying that mentality is they've been educated to, you're going to go in, and as soon as you do it one time, you're going to be an expert at it. And you got some people who can't take correction and who can't take not being able to do something the first time. Like, first time, maybe after the first five to 10,000 times you can't do it, you might want to get discouraged. But the first time, you're doing nothing right the first time. Take years to even do Jenga to where it's comfortable. Not the first few months, years to feel comfortable in Jenga. Years, man. We all know the process. First few times, like, there's some awkward ass stuff.
Right.
This is awkward.
I'll do this on a regular what?
Yeah. And it's, yes, it's awkward. Yes. It's just very awkward. This is not, you would normally just go around doing that. No, it's awkward. But it's the training. So, man, I just, I hope that overall the art, we can make it appeal to a broader section of people, I should say, because it has so much to offer. And then those people, who knows what minds and spirits they have, may be able to offer something to it too. But if you look at the commercial for capoeira and you not that type, you're gonna be like, I ain't doing it. As opposed to like what you were showing. Oh, what a low one I could do. And then you can always work your way up.
Right. But and it can be in reverse.
Yeah. So it's like, we need more of that as an art form as a whole, but I get it. It's a whole, that's complex.
I feel like it's more, it to be more also, it to be art, theater, and holistic practice. And not, when I say holistic practice, I don't mean like hippie capoeira.
No, for your whole well-being, your whole of you.
Yeah.
Which is funny that you have some people that train capoeira. I'm not naming anyone that I know, so that I see online, and then they'll talk about capoeira like as a purely physical thing, and then when they talk about the more holistic aspects, they're like, oh, well, you could just do Tai Chi, and it like, no, you could do capoeira. Right. It's how you do it. Exactly. And it's you can have a holistic approach, just like Tai Chi. Tai Chi is still movement. And if you see the right or a certain type of Tai Chi, some of it's quite fast and vigorous. So it's not that. It's that, well, people have accepted that this can be a holistic practice. That's all it is. Even yoga, man, you get some yoga that's more strenuous than capoeira in some ways. But people accept yoga as a holistic practice.
That, and then also the actual commercialism of it. because how many how many people you wouldn't be able to really go nowhere and compare somebody or hear somebody saying, you'll hear somebody say more talking about hot yoga or like the yoga body they got
Yeah.
compared to like, oh, this is the capoeira body I got, or
Yeah.
I'm doing
Yeah.
hot capoeira. It's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't hear
Uh-oh.
anything about that. So it's
Let's
like,
hope. Let's hope not.
yeah, I'm like, please don't, nobody, don't do that. But and you will, and then again, the commercialism of it, like, hey, again, even when you see, which is a selling point with people with groups, you can see if they're having an event or they're doing a presentation or something, they're going to have their team.
Yeah.
This
Oh
is
yeah.
this team. I got this team because this person can do like 8 backflips in a row. This
Mm-hmm.
one is great with the berimbau. This one can play pandeiro like there's no tomorrow. You pick
Mm-hmm.
and choose who you're going to take with you.
Yeah.
But the realistic thing is, I remember I would want to, I always tried to make sure that if we did a demonstration, I want to have a kid, a
Mm-hmm.
teenager, and 2 adults. And I want the adults to I want the adult to be a man and a woman,
Mm-hmm.
or it can be a teenager, it could be a teenage boy, teenage girl. But you got the 2 different genders, and then also you
Mm-hmm.
got different age ranges, because it's like, no, everybody in the audience, I want to see that these are all different age ranges, but then also anybody can enjoy capoeira.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of it, you may see somebody that's like a senior, and the senior just, did negativa, did whole away.
Yeah. And that's good.
They're like, people in the head, oh, I ain't getting that low and everything. But then they see that person like, hold on a second. This person just did that. Wait a minute. I just saw them walking slow just to even get there to that stage
Yeah.
a second ago. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, looks can deceive you, but then at the same time, you get to see that anybody can do this.
That's what I like. Regular folk.
Yep.
That's to me. Regular folk. Because that's what's gonna keep it going, a regular folk.
Yep. Even like I shared it on Facebook. It was I wasn't even looking for this, but it was a video clip of it had Sammo Hung in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, I think it was the TV show he was in where
Oh,
he was,
martial law. Yeah, I saw that
yeah,
clip, buddy.
yeah.
Yes.
When the guy was doing teacher self-defense class, he got
That
the
was
knife and tell him,
hilarious.
he's like, yeah, go, where's the rubber knife? Oh, you use a real knife. And he's looking at him like, okay, he's this big, he's like, this guy's got a fat and he's big and
Yeah.
all this. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, I'm like, oh, I was like, I remember this episode, but I don't. Soon as I saw him take that knife away from him, I'm like, oh man, you got some
Yeah.
crumble soup today.
Yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover. He's sitting there looking unassuming. He's like, yeah, you, the fat guy.
Yeah,
And he's looking around someone like, who, me?
right. Like you think of me as fat? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
Okay.
but but even that,
Yeah.
a modified situation, modified martial arts, modified position, modified work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he may look like that, but guess what? He can still do what he needs to do.
He's doing what he needs to do. And that's, man, I think we fight, it's the good fight, and we're gonna keep fighting it because it's a cultural thing too.
Mm-hmm.
It's you have TV shows where the out of shape person is the butt of the jokes.
Yep.
The you never have an action hero, modern, that doesn't look a certain way. Well,
Yep.
back in the day, you did. You had some dudes that look, you were like, okay, they were, if they weren't built, they were just regular looking people. It
Mm-hmm.
was like regular, and you would have a Samo occasionally or another guy that was big, and he would be, the hero. You have, I don't ever think I've seen a big woman be one.
The
That
only
still got
thing,
to happen.
the only time I've like seen a big woman be a hero, but it wasn't like her regular actual acting,
Mm-hmm.
was what's her name? Um Her name escapes me right now. Um, she played Red Sonja.
Oh, you talking Bridget Nielsen? That's her name.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is a tall woman.
That's a
and
tall woman.
But yeah, and that was like an action hero that you had right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had compared in like the black community, we had Pam Grier.
Pam Grier. Yeah.
Yep.
To-
Yeah.
yeah. See, but it's been always a little bit different with us because you had
Yep.
Tamara Dobson. She was one back in the 70s. She did a couple movies, not big, but she wasn't big as Pam Grier, but she did a couple of actually Shaw Brothers produced a couple of her movies, which was interesting.
Oh yeah.
Cleopatra Jones in the Casino of Gold. Tamara
Mm-hmm.
Dobson. She's about 6'2".
See?
It's a model back in the day, 6'2". So it's been a little bit different for us though, because the sisters we ain't gonna get no too many small sisters a lot. Sometimes you get varying sizes, but back in the day, this was a statue as women. Jane Kennedy was tall. She was in some. You know, they were some tall women.
What's the lady's name? It's can't think of her name. She's a great actress and an artist as well. Let
She
me see.
modern. She's a
Um,
modern woman.
no. That's it. Grace Jones.
Oh yeah, Grace Jones was in Conan. She beating up people with Conan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grace Jones. So it's always been a little bit different for the sisters because they've been it's a lot of them been statuesque. Them some tall women. What's the other sister name? She wasn't tall, but she wasn't skinny either. She was in Black Belt Jones. Gloria Henry.
Yeah.
She was in Bond, and then she was in Black Belt Jones and some other black movies in the 70s. But she wasn't tall, but she wasn't skinny either. She just had a regular type of body. And she was beating up people. So it's amazing. The 70s were a little more diverse than now in some ways. Deep. But that's deep, man, because it was. I mean, Pam Grier was not a small woman.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean,
even because she had her role in a couple like some minor action things. The Kid.
Eartha Kitt. Yeah, she sure did. I mean, it was a lot of Eartha Kitt. That's some man. It's a lot of stuff. I would have to think about the 70s movies because there was a lot in the 70s movies where if they weren't like the main star, they were like the brothers, like I won't say sidekick, his better half, and they be kicking butt too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. It's amazing that the 70s in some ways it was stereotypical, but in some ways they more diverse.
Yeah. You know what? I believe I got our idea for that, and I think we can call it for tonight too, because I know
I gotta go get this food. So.
Yeah, our next topic, what we can actually do, because we're both like buffs when it comes to like martial arts movies and things like that. Gather all of the actual this may be a long podcast. Woo! Gather. We'll give it 80s and 90s.
Oh boy.
80s and 90s capoeira movies.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a two-parter. That's gonna be a long one, man. Because I'm thinking about some scenes in a couple of them. I'm like,
yep.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like
rooftops.
Yep. Rooftops. People didn't even think about this movie. I reminded them about it. You got Rooftops. You got the Mighty Quinn.
The Mighty Quinn, yep. Denzel Washington Capoeira or stunt double.
Yeah, him and Robert Townsend.
Yeah. You got the one that Brooke Shields was in. It was a capo scene. Brenda Starr or Brenda somebody. And it was a scene where she was walking by the beach and there's people playing capoeira. Brenda Starr, or was that Dick Tracy? Oh, I'm confusing them.
It may be Brenda Starr.
It may be Brenda Starr because I'm looking at the cover and it was a guy that looked like Dick Tracy on the cover with her. I used to work at Blockbuster, man. I used to see all the movies.
Look, that's the I didn't even know about rooftops until it was like it was this old like video rental place on Gratiot. And he was like, "Man, you done seen this movie before?" And I'm like, "Oh no." I was like, yeah. I was like, "I ain't never heard of this one." And I was like, "Oh wow." So this was like, you know, I'm like
early 80s, man. It's like what rooftops like 84,
84, 85, something
yeah,
like
it
that.
was old, you know.
And
Wow, Capoeira. What else?
you got
I got one for y'all.
what's that?
So I got one for y'all. That's Daughters of the Dust. Now it's
Oh
very, very
yeah.
quick. It's almost
Yeah.
I was asking somebody, they said it's almost as if it's knocking and kicking versus capoeira. But
Yeah.
a lot of people,
Yeah.
it would go over a lot of people's head if they don't know about, martial arts
Yeah.
or African martial arts.
Yeah, it was you're right. I forgot about that, but it was a
Yeah,
quick little scene in this. So we got to talk about that one. Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a list
yeah. You know
because
what?
there's a lot of them.
I'm gonna make a poll, and I'm actually gonna
Okay.
put that out so we can like all we can all me, you, brother Mike, everybody that possibly want to invest in at that time. Like, look, we're
Yeah.
looking for movies from the 80s and 80s. I will stop at, let's say, 1999.
Okay.
Yeah. So like let's say 80
Yeah.
to
See,
1999.
because a lot on the B level movies that will come straight to video.
Yep. Yep.
Because it's all those blood sports that didn't have Van Damme that had like Mestre Amain in them
Yep.
and all,
It
the
was it
quest
was
with
yeah,
Van Damme.
the quest. It was Kickboxer 2,
Yeah,
and I
yep.
think and a Kickboxer, I think it was 5, the
5 or 7 or something. Oh, no,
that had
5.
Mestre. Yeah, that had Mestre, I mean, in
Yeah.
it.
And then
Yeah.
it was Bloodsport like 3 and then Bloodsport 5 or something. It was good. The
Yeah.
ones that didn't have Van Damme in them, it was like
It was it
Capoeira.
was it a blood sport or a kickboxer movie where the one capoeirista came into the ring with a chimbal? He was playing a
Yeah,
drum and
I
he
can't
like
remember.
cracked the
See, I
guy.
confuse them. I want to say that it was Kickboxer, but I could see they all starting to run together when it's like the Kickboxer and blood sports. They start running together. Like I'm like because they all had a very similar like theme.
Yep, yep.
And so
Even
yeah,
the
this gonna be interesting. I'm gonna look it up and come up with some because
yeah,
it's a lot, and people didn't know what capoeira was then.
and this is actually going to be really good because um what we can do, and I can make sure at the end of the video and all of that stuff we can put the disclaimers in it. So
Yeah,
I actually we can make the list of it, and then I can actually go on YouTube and find the clips,
okay,
and
put
then
the
like
disclaimer.
yeah, and then I
Yeah,
can just put them all together and just make a
man, because
disclaimer.
it was some Japanese. I have a Japanese movie that the opening scene is capoeira. It's like, God, what's the name of that movie? I literally have it. Like it's buried underneath some stuff.
There's
A
this
City Without Souls or something like that. And it's like this dude he's like a detective.
uh-huh.
He's like walking down. It's weird. He's walking down the street and two dudes like hole out and just start attacking him. With like Mealua, with Mealua friends, with Macaco. And he's not doing capoeira, but he's like kind of defending. And then they just hole back and go off the scene. I'm like, this is very random. And that's like how the movie starts. And it's not in the movie again. But it's like I think it's called either City Without Souls or City of something with souls in it, but it's like a Japanese movie. I find this over here in my movie box. And I
There's
bought it because I saw the scene. I never watched the whole movie. I just watched the scene.
there's another movie, like it was after Only the Strong. It's a Mark Dacascos movie. Drive.
Oh man, that's my movie. He's
Yeah.
still doing some capoeira. He do some Mia Lewis in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yep.
Drive was because Kadeem Hardison was in there, and they was Rush Hour before Rush Hour. That's I think where they
Exactly.
got Rush Hour from. Was them
And
two.
yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah, because Kadeem Hardison was cracking those same type of jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's where they stole Rush Hour from, honestly.
Yeah, you know what? This is gonna be good because
It's gonna be good.
yeah, because you
And
got
then
because we're going by movies. Now,
yeah.
if it was to be a whole nother platform, if we went like movies and
Oh man,
music
the
videos.
music video, man.
Oh
I
man,
think that would be exhaustive because it was a lot of them.
yeah. I
It
mean,
was like a lot of them.
like Santana. You got like Maria.
Yeah. Yep.
And,
Yep.
even like the newer ones right now, except it's like 2000s or so. You got the one, the violinist, the one that
Yeah.
Lindsey Sterling.
Yeah.
She got we even the Toronto trip because me and Cabela was talking about that, and then I was like, yeah, bring that music video up, and you see him doing capoeira and maculele
Yeah.
and everything too.
And it was remember X Clan?
Yep.
Well, it was when Brother Jay formed X Clan Mill Cypher. He had a video called Dark Sun Riders, and it was dudes. They weren't in capoeira uniform, but they were just throwing Mia Lewis. They were doing capoeira. And it's like, wow, this just
even some of the even though Wu-Tang Clan got their way because they want to stick by like
nah, they was doing
stuff,
capoeira in
but
the
they was doing
video,
capoeira
man.
in it too. Yeah,
they was. So that would probably take that would be a whole nother set of podcasts though.
yep.
because it's a lot of music videos that have or that had and have capoeira, and people don't recognize it because all the time the guys and the girls not in white clothes, they just might be in regular clothes,
Yep.
hip hop gear, and they think it's breakdancing, but as soon as they whip out or kick them up, capoeira.
Yep.
And I think people would be more familiar with what it is if they saw it in that context. Like, no, you've seen this before. You just don't know. They don't really talk about it. It's just it kind of in there is like an artistic thing that people are doing. That will be. We might have to revisit that at a later date. That for the music video, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, that's gonna take too long. That's
Gonna take too long. We'll be doing longer than your 3D printer. Be like 30 hours. Our eyes be red and bleeding.
like man, I done printed out like 12 different figures. Right. Like man.
And there's one other Japanese movie. I don't know if it was the 90s called Death Trance or Death Note. Death Trance. And then near the end, it's this crazy, man. It's based on an anime, but it's this crazy fight scene at the end, and the dude just break out with like Mia Lewis have her song, and he got claws on his feet, and he's doing like the handstand kicks where it's like bam, 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 bam. Dude, and the other dude is defending with a samurai. It looks nuts. And like he's doing halogio and trying to sweep him with the claws. And they did the special effects where he just, now the guy does halogio, but then they do a special effects where he just keeps spinning. And the dude was like lifting his leg. I'm gonna send you the scene because I got the DVD. I'm gonna extract it and I'm gonna send. Dude, I saw this. And they in samurai like outfits, but it's like, you know how they in samurai outfits, but it's also futuristic at the same time, like these demons and monsters.
Right.
They in a samurai outfit doing this, and it's like looking insane. Like it looks insane because he's in a samurai outfit with claws on his feet. I'm like, what am I watching? What am I watching?
Yeah, that has me think of even two other movies. It's like one, they were using swords and junk, but they added capoeira in it in a little bit. You remember what is it? Storm Riders?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Storm Riders and one anime is the storyline of it is like, man, if this ain't capoeira, I don't know what is. You remember the anime, what's it called? Shadow Skill?
I think I've seen some episode, yeah.
because they had it as a movie at first. Then they
Oh,
made
then
some
they brought an
episodes.
episode. Yeah, I think I saw the episodes.
Now the base story of Shadow Skill is the and it wasn't sisters or nothing like that. It wasn't nobody African American, nobody black, nothing like that. So it was like the ladies were basically captured, and they were made slaves. So they needed to devise a way to actually help their bodies develop so they could fight back. And of course they were chained up all the time. Their hands were chained and their feet were chained. And then they were like, so they made this art Shadow Skill, and it's like, oh, it's an actual art where they use their hands a little bit, but more of their legs and all of this type of stuff. I'm looking at it. They got one move they do, and I was like, man, this is like Chun-Li to 1,000 power.
Oh, where they
yeah, they do Chun-Li do that spinning bird kick.
Yeah.
Except they are doing it, and when they do it, they're like making a tornado and all of this type of stuff. And I'm like, what? And then I seen another one, the dude do male orgy French. He do male orgy French, and then like a burst of energy come out the kick. And I'm like, that owl smile, all of this stuff. I'm like, man, okay.
But capoeira ain't I mean, it ain't huge in Japan, but it's got a lot of folks. It's got more folks than you would think.
Exactly. Yeah.
You would think that they were doing karate. Nah, it's a strong contingent of capoeira there.
Right.
And it's a brother that used to, I mean, he probably still do. It was a brother that was, you think he was in the army or he was stationed in Okinawa. He had a capoeira school there. He was an African-American guy. I followed him some years ago, but just lost touch. And he was also trying to do some MMA, and he was trying to do capoeira and MMA there too. I'll never know what happened, but he taught capoeira in Okinawa.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I can't think of his brother's name. And there's another guy who I don't know if he teaches, but he trains and he does some stunts in Japanese movies. His name is from here. He's from Michigan, from Lansing. I talked to him a few times. Chuck. See, I'm gonna confuse this. Oh God, he's not Chuck Taylor because that's a wrestler. He's Chuck. I can't think of Chuck's name.
Okay.
But I'll get it to you. And he has some videos on his YouTube channel, of him training capoeira with a group in Japan. And he's actually a taekwondo. He got his black belt in taekwondo and a few other things, but he was like, I always want to train capoeira. There's opportunity here. And he would do like little vlogs and stuff about his training with like Japanese capoeira. And he's a stunt man that's been in some Japanese movies. And I think he just recently started his own kind of like little stunt company.
Okay.
I'll get you his name because I don't want to mess up his name. It's Chuck, and I can't remember Chuck's last. It's a very common last name, so I can't remember. Okay. But I'll send you his page and everything because he might be one to reach out to because he's been involved in productions. And he says, I was talking to him that they show a lot of interest in capoeira. And so he was able to teach some actors over there capoeira to use in their movies and stuff. So he would be a good, cool guy, man. Like he from here, he cool. He like cool. I don't know what. Cool.
Okay.
And
that would be something we can even
like have a guest or something.
Yeah, have a guest.
Yeah, he cool, man. He funny, but he cool. He a jokester, but he cool, and he's like a black dude doing stunts in like Japan. So sometimes like some of the masked people and the stuff, it might be him. They just have mask on him and he, get knocked through a thing. So, he's a cool guy. But that's it. You getting me excited. It's gonna be interesting. We'll be up here like 30 hours, and it was in his time, and only the strong, and his leg was over there, and that wasn't a Mia Lua. He was really doing it. And Mark Dacascos got trained more.
That's gonna be the fun part of it.
Yeah.
Because we know how we're gonna attack it.
Just only the strong with the Portuguese alone is hilarious.
No,
go back to your maestre. Bye.
Yeah, no, man, every time I can't even count how many times like to Darius, all of us, even like we just be walking around calling each other Santo. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
son.
something.
Like, hey, son.
It's something.
Like it's been a long time since I seen a
Right.
real son
It's something.
right in front of my face in the flesh and blood.
I teach you what they don't teach you on the playgrounds. But still, okay, before we go, I got one question.
Go ahead.
One question about Only the Strong. Okay. He was supposed to be the toughest drug dealer in Miami, right?
Right.
Okay. So when the Jamaican brother was like, why don't we just shoot the little bastard? Right? Which would be, that's what drug dealers do. No, we're gonna play capoeira with you to make an example. Nah, if you shot somebody dead in the middle of the street,
Game over.
game on, that would deter them from doing capoeira beyond recognition.
Right.
Not, no, we must play capoeira with him. Like, okay. I'm like, Severio need to visit Detroit. They set you straight, brother.
Right.
They just set you straight. The brother tried to set him straight. Shoot him. Just shoot him in cold blood. That'll do it. No, I'm going to play capoeira with him to prove. What?
Oh no, yeah.
I love that movie, man.
When you look at, oh man,
It's so hilarious.
Man, Only the Strong. Oh man,
unintentional comedy.
Oh,
that's all it is. It's unintentional. Okay,
yeah.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Remember, he took them to the beach. And they supposed to be the tough guys, and they were, oh man, look, sneaking alligators. And all it was like the beach at night. It's like, dude, man, you got some brothers. They ain't never seen the beach. They was gonna get off that bus.
Right.
And they supposed to be the toughest kid. I'm going on the beach. No, I'm still on the bus. Like,
right. I looked at it. Like, wait, what? I'm like, what? All right, what on your transcript exactly did you do to get?
I'm like, what you do, man? You skip class a couple times. That's
right.
What? You ain't doing. We got some. You couldn't come up. You couldn't come up here and be in school, then, bro. You get your stuff ran by a dude who ain't even tough. He just been in the hood.
Man, they had. It was. I kept looking at it, and like since he started Only the Strong, the hilarious parts of Only the Strong for me was all right, first of all, you find a place that you're gonna have the class in, you go to a firehouse, and then you bust the door in, you're like, man, you expect me to do handstands on this floor? Somebody's been using it like a toilet,
Right.
And then you go over to the bums and all that junk. He's like, fellas, your what you say, your rent, your
lease is up.
Your lease is up.
Yeah,
like
okay.
Man, they ain't gonna exactly, man. I'm like, man, whatever.
Man, you come and tell some homeless person that here. You in for a fight, dog. I ain't gonna just walk away.
Right. No, so that part was like, yeah, that ain't real. And then no, just the fight, the initial first fight with him and Severio. I'm like, first of all, Mark DeCasco's up in here wearing some dang low top shoes.
Right.
And Severio up in here wearing some dang Italian
shoes with heels.
With some heels, the thick heels. This dude done gave you Voldemosego. Man,
he hit him every time he kicked in the face, and all he had was a little scratch on his head.
Right. I'm like, man, he's supposed to. First of all, after that first, maybe the first one you may have gotten away with, but that second one, no, man,
game over.
It used to be on.
Game over. Done. He should have been in a hospital with the lady tending to him, hooked up to an IV with his jaw wire shut.
Right. I was like, man, this ain't nowhere near realistic. Give him that S doblado right there.
Yeah, I'm like,
face. I'm like, and that's the front of an Italian shoe. The sharp part. I'm like, man, no.
Movie magic, right?
Yeah, that's some straight up movie magic. I'm like, let that be the real. No. And at the same time, I'm like, those do not look like cheap Italian shoes.
Nah, they was
Like they,
shined up too and nice and thick and
right. Oh, you know what? Even that even has me remember a movie. Capoeira in it. The same guy playing Silverio. He was in The Legionnaire.
yes, he was. And Lionheart.
Yeah, or was it no, it was Lion.
Lionheart, but it was
It was
known as a
Lion.
legionnaire in foreign countries.
Yeah,
That's what it was, same movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
They
something
were
like
they
that,
were, they
man.
were fighting in that pool.
In the pool. He was doing like a couple meal lures.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
He was supposed to. It was weird. He was like doing a mix between Tiger Kung Fu and
Capo Tiger.
yeah, Capo
Yeah,
Tiger. Yep, he's
Capo
Capo
Tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah, so it's been, we can't remember knockoff, or was it which one when Van Damme was doing a little capoeira? Remember? Was it
Uh,
knockoff or
no,
double
no, 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 no. It was double team.
double team? Yeah, we was
Yeah,
doing
with
like
him and Dennis Rodman.
fillets and
Yeah,
shooting it hard.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. What was it? He was at that. He was running in the zoo, and then like the dude shoots at he out of his perspective of his mind. He got like super
Of
you know
course.
super sight. He sees the guy. The guy shoots at him. Then he does an owl, lands in negative, pulls the
Yeah.
gun out, and shoots at him.
I'm
Yeah,
like, man.
yeah.
Oh, talking about poetic license.
Oh
Lord.
yeah, yeah. Him, yeah. That no. He
Yeah,
did. Oh yeah, that
we gonna have to go deep in, man. It's gonna be a long one too. I'm gonna
yes,
clear that whole night away. It's gonna be
yeah,
a long one.
yeah. So we're gonna go
Just
from like
just
the
on only the
80s.
strong. Just that's oh boy.
Oh man, even if we did that for only the strong, we made it the whole thing of like you know what? Actually, this is what we'll do. So we'll go from the 80s to 1999 with capoeira movies, and then the next podcast after that,
Only the strong.
only the
Yeah,
strong,
because that's gonna be long.
and we're gonna make that a reaction podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, now
Oh boy.
that's gonna be fun because
That's gonna be something. Cause I got some questions that still linger in my mind about only the strong. I'm like, why? Okay. What you but he
I like
just
it. I like how the cordals actually turn into like neckties.
yeah.
I'm like, what? Okay,
Oh
okay. I'm like,
man.
well, they try to keep it alive some way, somehow.
Yeah, they were oh
Uh,
boy.
so it's
Yeah, it's gonna be
that's
fun.
that's gonna be perfect. You know what? And that's gonna help it. That's gonna segue into a whole bunch of stuff. That's just,
Oh boy. We
it's,
about to go down a rabbit hole with that one.
but it's gonna be so worth it. Because it's the 80s to 1999. I'm gonna title it that way too.
Oh
The next
boy.
podcast is gonna be 1980 to 1999 capoeira video, like I don't know.
Capoeira in film or something.
Yeah, capoeira in
Yeah.
film. Yep.
Cause it's oh boy.
It
Oh
just
boy.
and
I'm gonna
even
see if I can go find some obscure ones too, because I know there's some. There's like
yeah,
some B and C level movie. You like, okay, that's interesting.
yeah. Look
Yeah,
around
I'm
for
gonna,
it.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go look around because oh boy,
the more obscure stuff we can find, the better because
yeah,
it's gonna be like that's
you
gonna
know
bring
it's
it
some
up.
crazy ones.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, that's hold on, they got yeah, they got capoeira in it. And
Yeah.
and Will, you know what? Because it could that could make it too much. We'll stick to like just movies. We won't put any anime in it.
Nah, because that's you open. That had to be a separate one
Yep,
because you open a whole can of worms with the anime.
yep.
Because
Yeah, because it'll be
yeah,
different ones. Like we got to do one that's regular movies. Another podcast is anime.
hmm
Another podcast is only the strong by
yeah,
itself.
by itself is
Um,
that's
let's see another podcast that's like a Besouro
oh
by
that's a whole yep by itself. That's a whole nother oh boy.
another podcast
Oh
that's
boy.
Lambo by
Mm-hmm.
itself.
Yeah. Lambo
Shoot,
was the
even one that's
what was the one in the 50s? Black Orpheus.
yep, that
Black
one too.
Orpheus, Pagadorji Promise. Man, that's so many.
Yeah, even there's one have you seen this one movie? I haven't seen it in a long time though. What's it called? Madame Sultan.
Yes, I haven't seen it. Man, I used to have the VHS. I don't know what happened to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I used to have that. And I ain't seen that probably since
Um
early 2000s.
that one, what's the other one? Besouro, that it was chest on the top of it. With Lambo, Black Orpheus, Besouro, Only the Strong. Um, it's gonna come to me. It's
It's a
gonna
Brazilian movie. It's Brazilian or
nah. Oh, you know what? Even City of God.
City of God. Yep, City of God.
Yep. City of God, and there's another one. Shoot, even the last one that was good, the last Pele one.
Oh yeah.
It shows how the kids were
Mm-hmm.
in the favelas, and how they were they ain't have no shoes, but they actually was using capoeira for their
Mm-hmm.
actual soccer.
Yeah.
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 I mean, most people know it, but then just even something like that, that's even a
Yeah.
movie in itself. And the
Yeah.
main one that would be a long category, much like the 80s and the 1999 videos, would be video games.
Oh man. Oh boy.
Yep.
Whew. Yeah, that's we that sounds like a plan. That
Yeah,
one in itself, because oh boy.
it's a lot because you going all the way back to even um
Didn't
streets of rage.
Streets of Rage, didn't Eternal Champions have supposed to have a capoeira
It was
in
the
there?
it was the guy that was supposed to be he was the fish man.
Yeah,
That a
yeah.
hook.
Because
Yeah.
they was trying to imitate Blanca. Now I
Yep.
don't know about no cap, but Blanca was supposed to be from Brazil.
Now
So
now that now now that I asked around for that for like so
mhm,
long, and then somebody actually somebody broke it down in a video. I know I will not find the video,
mhm,
but they broke it down about Blanca. Because of course he in Brazil, he had the fishing like the
mhm,
dock and everything like that. But they were like, what actually makes Blanca a capoeirista?
mhm,
His backflip kick. When he just hit
mhm.
roundhouse and you do that, that's supposed to be his makaku.
Ah, okay.
But it's supposed to be what is it? A macaco directo, a macaco
Okay.
directly over.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's supposed to be that. And his trip, if you look
Mhm.
at his trip, it's actually like he doing a hashted, except he turning his back all the way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's yeah. So those two, they were like, yeah, those main two movements right there.
Mhm.
That's what makes Blanca in the capoeirista realm. So you got
Okay.
Blanca, you got Richard Meyer from
Yep.
Fatal
Yep.
Fury,
Yep.
and you got him fighting in his club. He hanging on the wall and
Mhm.
on the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a lot of them, man. Going video games. We going. That's another 2-3 hour one right there. It's
yep,
a lot of video games. Capoeira has been, was, and still is.
we gonna have to make that even have a limit to, because
Yeah, we gonna have to.
you would be going like
Man, you be going
80s
even
all the
now.
way to like, yeah, you would be going
You be
80s
talking
all
about
the way.
Assassin's Creed and stuff they
Yep.
be doing in there. Like it's it's too much. But then the
Yeah.
funny thing is, people wouldn't. It may be good because if people were to watch it, they will realize that they have seen capoeira. Because when you tell people, I don't know what that is. No, you've seen it.
Yep. Uh-huh.
You just or seen some elements of it, I should say, but you don't because it's not the main art in the movie. It's not the star art. You don't know what it is, but you've
Mhm.
seen it. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, even the whole thing, because everybody for so long they tried to keep saying that DJ from Street Fighter, that he was a capoeirista, except I'm like, nah, I don't
Nah.
think he does a movement that's like he does his flip kick that he does in the air. It almost looks like an Aoji Ole, except he lands. I was like, that's the only one I've seen like that. And let's see that, and but other than that, he's a kickboxer.
They said, I don't know what video it was, but like the Street Fighter guys, the creators or people who, they said they based that on Billy Blanks. That's supposed to be Billy Blanks.
I could see that. I could see that, especially from what's the name of that Billy Blanks movie where he was fighting on that like a ship or something like that. It's a really old Billy Blanks movie.
Oh, he got to see his run together for me too, because he actually got a nice body of work from back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And they run together because it's like he played the same character to me in all of them, but they running together, which I like. I mean, I ain't got nothing Billy Blanks the man.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I can't think of.
It's
He's
gonna
been in
be
so many movies.
Even that it's you know what, the I want to say it's going to this is going to you know what I feel, this not even I feel, I know this is going to segue into, this is going to segue into not just it being the Capoeira and Detroit podcast, but this is also going to segue into your podcast as well too. So some aspects of it as well.
Some aspects with
because it's like it's they're so intertwined with each other.
I had a theory, and I know we gotta go. I'm gonna leave it. I had a theory on a kung fu movie. Now it's a kung fu movie from the 70s, but I believe, man, they based some of it on something that had to do with capoeira. It's called Invincible Kung Fu Legs, or I can't remember the leg fighters, either one. But it was the school that was supposed to be the northern school that did all high kicks. And it was the southern school they called it the ground kick style, and they had this rivalry. What does that sound like it would be in the 70s? Don't sound like capoeira?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the way some of the movements that the ground kick guy was doing, I'm like, nah, man, I think they might have did some research or something. I'm gonna send it to you. I got a nice, good copy. I'm gonna send it to you. It take a while. It's a big file. It's a 4K copy.
Hey, it's cool with me.
And I was looking at it, and I'm like, you know, I've seen the movie so many years, but then I was looking at it through new eyes. I'm like, okay, this gotta be. I don't believe in coincidence. They might have did a little research just to make the movie stand out and be different. You know, and it's like, I don't know. I'm gonna let you see, and you tell me what you think.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you this weekend. I just got to take out my flash drive with it on there. It'll be a Dropbox link because I ain't gonna be able to drop it in Facebook Messages. Too big of a file.
Oh, they're gonna be like file limit.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. Just a Dropbox link. Download that. Watch it on there. However you want to do it. But yeah, just it's. Maybe it's just I see everything like, oh, that's capoeira. Maybe that's what it is. But it's like I'm just the premise of it. Yeah, you know, it's like this rivalry between the two different kick schools, and you know.
You know what? I actually found the name of that movie too. It's The King of Kickboxer.
Oh yeah. Billy Blanks was in there with my man. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think he does a flip kick in there like DJ does.
See,
so I think they said openly no that was based on Billy Blanks, and they just had to call him DJ because of licensing. They couldn't call him Billy Blanks.
Oh yeah, well of course, yeah. Well,
you know, so
you see how long now it's taken Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat to actually get Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right.
So
you know I got to get that just because. Now, I'm
Yeah.
waiting till it come down in price though, but I got to get it just because. That's a just because right there.
it's the remembrance of it. It's like this
Yeah.
originally came from, especially a split kick. I'm
Yes.
like, come on. I'm like, that is straight up Kumite like it ain't no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's. And then didn't they give him to voice some parts, like if you buy a certain edition, he's voice, which is gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, they got his actual his full skin.
Oh
You
Lord.
can get him, and you can even change his costume to be the his costume from the Kumite with the
shorts and the sash.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's that I was like, oh man. Oh yeah.
Oh
They got
man.
it. Yeah, so they got it like that, and yeah, he'll say like some comments and stuff like from his actual movies or something like that.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
I love it.
I was like, yeah, that is a worth it buy right there.
I love it. Yep, got to get that once it come down, man. These games be so expensive.
Oh yeah,
that's like a house note.
Yeah. That's
I can't do. I can't do that. I gotta wait.
Excuse me,
but fellas. I'm gonna get on, go pick up this food.
Yep. Yeah, we called tonight. Hey, well, good podcast, fellas.
Yeah, good talking to you, Mike. Nice to see you again,
sir.
man.
Appreciate it.
Same here.
Enjoyed you guys.
Hope you got plenty of laughs with everything, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually very I'm very excited about doing that 80s to 90s thing. That's
gonna be something.
And you know what? I'm gonna change up the actual flyer a little bit too. So I'm gonna put like some clips of like some of the actual movies and stuff in the
Okay.
flyer.
That'll be
That'll
cool.
help with the actual theme itself, like this podcast is gonna be this. So
yeah, ought to be fun. Cool. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Oh, cool. All right, gentlemen, we both have a great evening.
All right, you too, brother, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Peace.